Welcome. We are continuing our final part of the little 40K series with my friend Aelfric here. Hello again, Aelfric.
Hello. We're concluding unless you want to go into every single chapter or something in the future.
Maybe we'll see about that. You know, if you guys have requests for something for both myself and Aelfric to go over, feel free to leave a comment and let us know. I'm learning a lot. I watched the Bricky video on the
I saw it. It was
Imperium.
good.
Yeah, the Imperium Man. I
You learn
found
about Emperor's Children hot pants.
I the hot pants, exactly. I love the hot pants. Also,
You had some hot takes on certain clothing items.
yeah, found out that Dark Angel fans are very passionate about their security blankies. So,
The Snuggies.
the snuggies. My favorite is I just want you guys to know I'm actually really familiar with medieval related things. And I'm still telling you, some of those pictures do not look what you think they look like. I look though there's better pictures out there. I think the ones just in the Bricky video were not the best demonstration of the white sheets that they wear around themselves. And I would like to also point out that as much as you don't like me calling them toga wraps sometimes, what's that one guy's name who's really important in the universe? Oh, that's right, the Emperor.
How dare you have to question that?
I'm so sorry. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm glad that the 40K fandom so far, you have all been very kind and inclusive, and I'm having a lot of fun learning little by little. I have a smooth brain, so we have to take baby steps. Right, Alfred? Baby steps for me.
Yeah, very slow. We gotta start very slow, guys. And
All
we
right.
got the most interesting one now. XENOS are like it's nice to get away from chaos and people and humanity and people, but these guys are the aliens, the weird ones.
Okay. A little bit of technical difficulties, but now we're back. We're starting with the Eldar, which I had multiple listed under Eldar. So is it Eldar sort of like the Imperium Man branch, and then there's different
Kind
categories
of
below that?
Eldar's
Okay.
Eldar's like the race, and then there's four, maybe even more, but there's four like main factions, I guess you could play as.
Okay. Uh so do we all right, so Eldar, and then do I move on to the next faction, or do I need to know stuff about generic Eldar?
Um, needed a little bit about history stuff. So like way back beyond Emperor and all that kind of stuff, there were like one of the first races that ever existed in the universe or galaxy was called the Old Ones
Old ones, like
because they're the old. Yeah,
Cthulhu.
they were. And they were super powerful. They probably had magic or genetic coding, splicing, sequencing, or something like that. But they could do a lot of cool stuff. All
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
and they lived in the galaxy, and then there's another group called the Satan, which are also like energy beings that would like drain stars and then get bodies because of all the stuff they drain from the stars.
Were they bigger than the stars, and that's how they drain them?
I think they were like energy beings, so they kind of like hovered around the stars and ate them, and then
Oh.
gave themselves form based on that. I don't know exactly that history, but they got into a fight, and technically the Satan won, and so the old ones like went away. Okay,
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so during that fight, there's either the race of the Eldar already existed and they were aligned with the old ones, or the old ones made the Eldar to help them fight the Satan and their like minions. That's where they came from. So they're very old race, and they're basically space elves.
Okay. Space elves, of course, because there's space
Yep, they
dwarves,
got the
right?
ears and all that stuff. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And so then once the old ones left and the Satan left, which we'll get to later, they had the galaxy. And so they made this huge galaxy spanning empire, and the Eldar were like the major like power in the galaxy for a very long time.
Okay.
So then they started to get real weird about it.
Okay. They started to get weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had the galaxy. Nothing was really fighting them. So then it's like, well, what do we do with our time? Well, let's make good food. And then, okay, we've eaten this food for 1,000 years. What do we do now? We'll mix different food. We'll mix in this blood of this creature. And so they got more and more like
Oh,
depraved and like getting a little weird and doing weird stuff, trying to just kind of not be bored,
we
basically,
kept
because they
spiking
had
the
everything.
punch with different things.
Yeah, with some probably weird stuff. And they got so weird that they basically like orgied Slanesh into existence. That's where Slanesh came from, because this whole galaxy of space elves were being so weird that they made a god of excess and lust and all that kind of stuff.
Man, imagine you're just so bored. You just spontaneously orgy something into
You know,
existence.
orgy the fourth chaos god into existence,
That's
and
amazing.
he ate most of them, all most of their souls,
As one
and
tends to do when they're summoned.
killed most of their gods.
Oh, that's oh, so they ordered something more powerful than even a god?
Yeah, they're gods. I mean, I'm not sure like the category of what gods are in Warhammer 40k, but they had like a god of war. They had a god of healing called Isha, who's one of the few that survived.
Oh, yeah, that's Nurgle's favorite
Yeah,
person.
his waifu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, Celeste was more powerful. I mean, he had a galaxy of creatures that basically birthed him, so he was incredibly powerful.
Do you know, and I know this is all coming off the top of your head, and I'm starting to understand that there's quite a lot. Was this the same time that the other chaos demons were around? Like, is Slanesh the youngest or the oldest? Like with Corn and
Yep, Celeste is the youngest.
youngest?
So the
Okay.
other three were in existence before. I'm not sure if they're. I think Nurgle is speculated to be the youngest, or sorry, the oldest.
Okay.
But they'd existed, and then Slanesh was born, so he's definitely the youngest,
Okay. So he's the little brother they're all picking on.
pretty much, or the other way around.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He's trolling them. Okay. Is that it for the
That's the
Eldar?
Eldar. So
Okay.
yeah, so you can go on to the actual factions
All
now.
right. First one I have is oh, you're blocking this one. I'm gonna make you disappear for a
Ah.
second. I'm Thanos snapping you for a second.
Ah.
Snap.
Oh,
Craft
feels so good
World
to see you.
Eldar. Poof. There you go.
So the craft were Eldar. So there were some Eldar that didn't live on their planets. I think at the same time this is going down, or they moved off right away and they moved into these things called craft worlds, which are like giant. I believe they're kind of like giants. I don't know a ton about the Eldars. A lot of this is just based on knowledge I picked up, but
Okay.
like giant space stations, but like like world-sized space stations,
Oh, where did the space stations come
or a
from?
craft or something.
Or did they make
I think they
them?
built. I think the whole thing with like this group is like, hey, we're getting weird. That's not cool. Let's move out of this place and kind of go live our own lives and try not to be as weird as the other guys are being.
Let's not go to the weird party with a punch
Yeah.
anymore. Okay.
And so they survived because they weren't really like integrated with the rest of the elves or the Eldar when Slanesh got born. They managed to stay alive.
Okay.
But the problem is that when an Eldar dies, their soul is kind of like tagged for Slanesh. Like it goes to like the customs and the chaos and say, "Yep, this one's for
Oh
Slanesh," and
no.
like throw them into Slanesh, and then he violates their souls forever.
Oh no.
And so what happens when an Eldar dies? They have a soul stone, so their soul goes into the stone, and then they go into like this big circuit called the Infinity Circuit in their craft world. So they live kind of like in that as their afterlife.
Oh, do they get reborn or are they like fuel?
They're not fuel; it's more or less like they exist in there.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not sure if there's like a place they're at, but they exist, and like they don't get reborn. But like if I need to power this one of their like mech suits, you can pull a soul out of the Infinity Circuit to like power the suit. Doesn't kill the soul; it's just the soul is basically driving the suit at that point.
Could they commune with the soul then? Like if I
I
pull
think
a
so.
soul and shove it into like my machine, I can talk to my friend Bob the Eldar.
I don't know if they have their own identity, if they remember who they are. So I'm sure somebody in the comments can comment on that. But I think they can meet with them for like information or like wisdom and stuff.
I've discovered that it's also 40K, so I bet like if you wanted that to be a thing, you could just say it is a thing. Like, who's
Probably,
gonna say no? There's so much going on.
yeah. So their whole thing is they're trying to survive.
Mhm.
So nice out to get them. The galaxy's crazy. There are enough of them to be an army to be powerful, but it's kind of like the whole like there aren't as many elves as anything else, so they're kind of like valuable. Their units tend to have powerful psychic powers, or they're hit super hard, but they're usually pretty fragile. They're like the hit run kind of tricky group to play.
Okay, understood. That's a really cool image that I found. It
Yeah,
hasn't.
and each craft world has its own like culture too. So like craft world is very like generic for their term. Like different craft worlds behave very differently.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, moving on. Oh, we did that so quickly. We're so good. Okay, and by we I mean you. Next one is oh, let me move this one because these images are a little wonky. I'm gonna pronounce this perfectly.
Go for it.
The Drukhari.
I think it's Drukari.
The Drukari. That's what I said.
Notice I say think because like mostly things I read, so I don't really know if I pronounce them exactly right.
They sort of look
They're the
like
dark elves.
buggy. They look like buggy elves in this picture a
They're
little
very
bit.
spiky in their armor.
Yeah, it's a very spiky for sure.
Yeah. So they are the elves that were like, yeah, we totally weirded a god into existence, but like, what if we were even more weird? How would that work out?
Okay.
So they, I forget how they escaped. I think they lived in the webway, which is kind of like this like half dimension where like they use it to get around the galaxy, but it's also like its own kind of space. I think they might have been in there when Slaanesh was born,
Okay.
but they escaped somehow. They live in the webway for the most part.
The web wave?
Webway,
The
WAY.
the web way. That makes me think of Loth when we're talking about dark elves.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah. Okay.
But they live there, and their whole shtick is they're slavers. They catch people, they torture you because if they torture somebody, that energy goes to Slaanesh, and then Slaanesh will leave them alone for a little bit longer. So they basically
Ah.
extend their own lives by like torturing and hurting other people instead, and kind of like buying themselves time by doing that.
Oh, okay. So survival. Let me guess. But they've done it so much that they sort of like doing it now.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of them are into it.
That makes sense. Yep, yep.
You
That
see a lot of
follows.
like if you ever see one out of their armor, there's a lot of piercings and this like weird stuff going on.
Sure, get the weird punch. They have their own weird
Yeah,
punch
so
now and their own
they're
weird
like dark
party.
elves or kind of like pirates, raiders because they'll show up at a planet like raid a bunch of slaves, so they have slaves and then like go back into the webway where you can't get them.
Oh, webway. That's my new
They're like
favorite words. That's my favorite word so far.
webway.
Webway. Webway.
So if the Eldar like hit and run, these guys are even more hit and run. Like they'll smash you to pieces, but if you get one in your hands, like you just like crush it.
Oh, that follows. They sort of look buggy with this picture too, with the little spikes and being very skinny and spindly. Spindly is the word I would use. That's what they sort of
Yeah,
look like.
it's like elves,
Yeah.
very spindly.
Spindly. So spindly. All right. The next one. Um, Thanos snapping you 1 second. Snap. Okay. Okay. The Harlequin. This is an interesting
Yep,
picture I have. I think it's the Harlequin fighting a bunch of
probably
stuff.
are they like clown elves?
Ah, they're like Harlequin. They're like Jester looking.
Yep. So these guys, so one of the gods that survives, his name is the Laughing God.
A laughing god. That's not.
He was like the trickster
Mm,
god, and he also I think vanished into the webway or went somewhere where the Sinets couldn't find him.
okay.
And he also founded or owns or kind of protects this thing called the Black Library, where a lot of like it's just a giant library in the webway full of information.
Okay.
And the Harlequins serve him, so they're a faction of the Eldar that serve the Laughing God. All the other Eldar kind of like put up with them when they show up because they fight Slanesh and because they're terrifying with the way they fight and like how powerful they are. So even like the Drukhari, when the Harlequins roll in, they don't mess with the Harlequins. Like the Harlequins will set up, they'll like they put on shows about like the history of the Eldar, and
Mhm.
the Drukhari are just like, cool, yeah, great, great guys.
Great, great.
So please,
Don't
what do you need?
don't make any sudden movements. Don't say
Pretty
anything to them.
much.
Don't make eye contact. Just smile and
So
nod.
yeah, so there's very very few of them, but they're like really really powerful fighters, very tricky. They like have anti gravity belts, so they can like do like their acrobatics while they're shooting you with wires that unfurl inside of you and cut you to pieces and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Well, all the while looking sort of. They're not. The picture I have has them not looking clownish, but I'm sure that they have exaggerated clown faces in some depictions.
Yeah, because they
Oh.
all are like all the
Mm.
roles they have are one they're fighters, but also they are like some role in like their big play. Like these people represent the Drukhari, and these people represent the craft worlds, and that they also are their units that they use in the battle.
Yeah. Different masks for different things.
Yep. That's a big thing too for masks. A lot of the Eldar, like they put on masks that kind of like I'm going to be this role for a while because it helps them control who they are. Like if they want to fight, they'll put on like I'm going to be the warrior, and they'll become a warrior, and then they'll almost like dissociate themselves back in their old selves and forget that person if they need to.
That's pretty handy. It's a handy coping mechanism, right? Healthy.
Yeah, it's
Very
healthy.
healthy.
That's great for you. That's great for
Yeah.
your psyche.
So healthy. I'm gonna just what mask am I gonna wear today? Ah, yes, I have to put on the go to work and be in a cubicle mask today.
It's
Bloop.
kind of
Ha ha.
too real, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, now I'm back home taking that off. Oh, I don't even remember it. It's like it never happened.
Such as a lot more Eldar is one of the races I know the least about because they don't interest me that much.
Oh no, you're gonna get all the Eldar hate now. How dare you insult them?
All 10 of them.
Poor
I shouldn't talk.
poor s- for poor space
I think there's one
elves.
more though, isn't there?
Uh, I can do this. I can do this. I can. I've got this. I can say this name. The the Yunari.
I think that's right. I think it's Yunari.
Okay. They look
So they are the newest faction.
they look really cool. They look very boss. Like they're gonna fuck shit
They're
up.
the newest factions of Eldar.
Okay.
Um, So the craft worlds think that once every Eldar soul is dead and in their infinity circuits, all the infinity circuits will link up and basically birth another god, the god of death, Yniad, I think is how they spell it, or Yniad or Yniad or something like that.
Okay.
And the whole idea is it'll be powerful enough to basically kill Slanesh, and then the Eldar can, resurrect in some new form or new body or something like that.
They'd be happy again.
Pretty much. But like all the Eldar have to die first before that'll happen.
Okay.
And the Inari were formed to help bring that about.
I was gonna say, and let me guess, these guys are supposed to try to kill all the Eldar so that can happen.
No, they're not killing all the Eldar. They're
Okay.
just trying to make sure that like the Eldar don't get like omnon by Slanesh before it
Oh,
can
okay.
happen.
That's better than what I thought. That's better than the path I thought this was going. I thought they're like, and so we have these that are gonna go kill the Eldar, so Lanesh can go
Because
away.
they actually want to find a ritual that will not require everyone to die. So they actually like partially woke up the god. There's a being out there called, I forget what it's called. It's something. It's like Yin something or other. That's like the avatar of Ennead because they kind of like partially woke up
Okay.
the god, and now they're trying to like, okay, how can we finish the job now, and how can we do it that we don't all have to die? That would sure be nice if we're not all dead when that happens.
Be sure would be nice. Yeah, because if they all have to be dead, like who will do the ritual or whatever then?
Well, it's just they think that if all the die, it'll just happen. He'll
Oh,
wake up.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And interesting because their leader's name is Yvrain, who's a cool character, but um, they're made of like all the different Eldars. So, like Drukhari are part of the Inari, Craftwolves are. But she's actually one of the people that helped wake up good old Raboot Gulliman.
Oh, Raboot Gulimon.
Yeah,
Okay.
her and some other guys helped wake him up. So it's interesting because obviously the Imperium doesn't like Eldar; they're filthy xenos. But they also help bring back one of their champions because if he's around, he can fight Slanesh
Yeah,
or fight Chaos
Robert Gugumon. Hmm.
or Rubby Girly Man.
Robert Gugumon. Hmm.
I
Guluman?
think
Can I
Peter
say
Turbo is still my
Gulumon?
favorite.
Perturbed, Mr. Perturbed. That's what
No,
I'm calling him.
Peter Turbo.
Peter Turbo is Mr. Perturbed. He's
Oh,
quite
okay.
quite perturbed all the time. Not
That's it
kidding.
for them. They're relatively new.
Yeah, they look
They
pretty.
want to not die. I guess it makes sense.
I mean, yeah. To be honest, this faction of the Eldar makes the most sense to me.
Your brain has a fabulous dress he wears too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, these the picture I have is three of them together. Probably
She might be
representing the
one of
three of
them.
them. The centermost looks pretty. She looks pretty boss. She's sort of purpley, has some fabulous hair going on.
Does she have like spikes like hovering by her hair?
Oh, I don't think I see spikes. She's like pointing a
Okay.
sword, and
Does she have a ponytail?
she ponytail is a very generous term. It's
Yeah,
more like
that's your brain.
that's more like a fountain of hairs coming out of her
Yeah,
head and
I
turning into
bet. I
partial
bet that's her.
magic. Yeah, she also has a really interesting pose where she's just like standing on one leg with her other sexy leg up. Very like
Of course.
yeah, yeah. Very,
Yeah, that's probably her. I would guess
I
then.
would assume. And then
She's like one of their main people. So
there's a really cool looking dude in red armor and he's like a face on his kneecap.
a face on his kneecap. What?
Yeah, he's got a face on his kneecap. He looks cool. It probably I don't know. He looks interesting. All right. Moving on.
Hmm. Okay.
Moving on. Oh my god. It's the dwarves, the leagues of Votan.
Yeah, I think still they are the newest faction that was released for the game. They're not the newest in the lore, but like they're the youngest faction that you can actually play
Okay,
as.
before you start, I just have to get this. I gotta get the rock and stone out of my head.
Rocket Stone.
Rock and stone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now.
Yeah, they're space dwarves.
Okay.
A long time ago, a bunch of people sent ships to the center of the galaxy to try to like mine all the expensive stuff there because there's lots of cool stuff where black holes and heavy stars are.
Mining is involved. I'm shocked.
Yeah, pretty much. And along the way, I'm not sure if they started this way, but they're basically clones. They're grown in like these clone vats, but they add in a variation so they don't all the same. Each one is its own person. They're not the same guy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And they adapted them to be able to deal with the high gravity. So they're smaller, they're squat, they have lots of muscle. Some of them can like see in the dark better. Some of them have tough skin.
They can drink copious amounts of alcohol.
Yeah, sure. And that's the Kindred. Kindred are actually the doors. I think they're called the Kindred.
Okay.
The Votan are their like ancestor cores. So the AIs that were in the ships that they were sent on that had never been turned off. So they've been gathering knowledge, gathering information. It's kind of like their ancestor gods. That's the Votan. So they're the leagues of the Votan. They respect
Oh,
the elder, the ancestor god, which is this
an
advanced
AI
AI.
in a ship, an AI
I think there's
core.
some of them out of the ships. I mean, they're not stuck in the ships anymore, but yeah, that's where they're from.
What type of bodies do they have then?
Votan don't have bodies. They
Oh,
might have. I think a lot of pictures have them be like these like big like faces carved out of rock. I think that's more like decoration than what they actually look like.
oh, okay.
But they're ancestors, so they can be like, "Oh, ancestor, Votan, we're in this issue. How do we fix this thing?" And then they'll look into their ancient repositories of knowledge and find the answer for them because they've been awake and running for millennia upon millennia at this point.
Okay. It looks
But the problem with that is like if your computer was on for a couple of millennia, how fast you think it'd be running at that point?
never had an update. Was it-
Right. So they have Google, but Google can take like, oh, Votan, how do we fix this? And it's like we'll get an answer within the next 5 to 10 decades. Like
Oh, okay.
that's kind of how it operates with them.
Do they live to be a long time to be old, pretty old?
I don't recall what their lifespan is. I don't know if I remember. I have their codex. I don't remember if this says what their lifespan is.
It looks like
The Votan or the dwarves.
the dwarves themselves, the
I
kindred.
don't know.
Oh, okay. It looks like this picture I see shows one of them looks like a wizard, almost like casting magic.
Yeah, so they don't have a lot of warp presence, which means that chaos has a hard time finding them and
Okay.
like hurting them, which is nice.
Mhm.
But they can use technology, and the few of them that have like some warp to like kind of like fake it. So they have those guys, which are their wizards basically.
Oh, okay. Techno wizards.
And their whole thing is like the order of importance in the world goes my clan, I forget what they're called, Clade, I think, or something like that. My clan, and then all the dwarves, and then everything else would be below that.
Seems
So like
to follow.
they will tend to trade with you. Like if you let's say go to your planet, you have like Giga Steel, right? And I
Mhm.
want Giga Steel for my dwarf ships.
Okay, yeah, Giga Steel. Very, very high price. Mhm, mhm,
I will show up and be like, hey, I want your Giga Steel.
mhm.
Trade me for it. And if you trade me for it, awesome. But if you won't trade me for it, or if I think you're too weak to keep it, I'm gonna come take it.
Ah,
Because if
rocket
it was
stone.
yeah, if it was yours to keep, you would be able to stop me from taking it. So easy path trade, be nice. Give you weapons, trade your technology. You want to make it hard, then we'll make it hard. And the only thing we'll calculate is it worth the cost of how many people will die to do it?
All right. Got it.
They'll show up to your planet and be like, we're gonna crack your planet and harvest all the ore inside. Thought you might want to know. We'll be back in a week. And that's like how they'll like deal with people if they want something.
Oh my. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah. It's a
follows.
weird blend of like asshole, but also like, well, they didn't have to warn me, but it's really funny.
That seems very flirty, K at this point. Like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, moving on. Necrons. Oh, they look like skelly robots in this picture, like Terminator or something.
Yeah, Egyptian Terminator zombies, basically.
This is a cool picture. They look very. I would be very upsetty spaghetti if they attacked me.
They don't look very friendly, right?
No, they do not look friendly at all.
Yeah, so the Necrons. So remember the Satan and the old ones?
Yes.
Okay, so the Satan had a race called the Necron tier, which were like their servant race that fought for them, kind
Okay.
of as soldiers, right?
Okay.
And they didn't live very long. Their lifespans weren't long for various reasons. I think like exposure to too much radiation, or this is how they were.
Okay.
And Satan were like, "Hey, if you fight for us, we'll give you the secret to eternal life." And then
Ooh,
eventually the Necron tier was like, "Hey, we've been fighting for you for a long time. Yeah,
nice.
you gonna help with that?"
You gonna give us that eternal life juice anytime soon?
Right.
Yeah.
And so eventually they turned on the Satan to try to like basically force them to give them the information. And that's why the Satan left. So they beat the old ones, or the old ones fled. Necrontyr turned on the Satan, and then Satan were defeated and like
Ooh.
shattered into a bunch of little pieces.
Nom 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 nom. That's how I assume
And then,
everything
yeah,
happens.
and eventually the Necrontyr were able to get, I forget if it was before the Satan gave it to them, that's why they got pissed off, or afterwards, but they learned to like basically put their souls in like living metal. So
Oh.
Necrons are made of like living metal with like the soul of one of these old creatures inside of it.
Ah, nom 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 nom. So I wasn't far off.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they kind of kicked around for a while, and eventually something happened, or they decided they wanted to wait, and so they basically buried themselves in these big tomb worlds underground and just went to sleep. And now in the present day, they are starting to wake up.
Ah, okay. So
and they have crazy advanced technology.
are they newer-ish or no?
No, they've been on for a while in terms of
Okay.
like conditions,
They're just really
but that's like
slow at
their whole
waking
thing.
up.
Yeah, it's slow. Like one world
Okay.
will wake up, or like one leader will wake up, start waking up their factions. One of those things where like the leaders are the smart ones that have a lot of personality, down to like the warriors, which are basically so like degraded that they basically just like are zombies, kind of.
Alright.
And they're slowly waking up. I don't know if we know exactly what they want to do. I think the assumption, at least the basic assumption, is they want to rule the galaxy again at some point.
Mhm.
And no one knows how many are there, how many planets. They could be underneath your planet. Like you just don't know until they start waking up and
Surprise!
flame people alive with their Gauss weapons. So
Oh, it's a pretty I think, a poor marine has been devoured in
yeah,
this or not devoured,
pretty
but,
much.
decimated in this picture.
And if you kill one, it just gets teleported back into the tomb, and then they'll rebuild it. So it's like they're really hard to put down permanently.
Oh, well, how would you put him down permanently? I guess you'd have to blow up the tomb or whatever that they're part of, right?
Blow up the tomb. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes if they've been just blown up enough, they're just too gone. Like they lose a little bit every time they come back or something like that. Like
Oh, okay.
you can brute force it if you have to, but they're just very tough.
Okay, understood. I like them. I don't know, for some reason, they seem really cool to me.
They got a cool aesthetic.
Yeah, I like it. The aesthetic and then also just the whole, "Hey, you've been sort of an ass, so I'm
They
gonna
have
turn on you, and I'm strong enough to actually get rid of you."
pretty much, and they have one of the only faction leaders that has like Alzheimer's.
Oh, no, that's sad.
Yeah, like leader zombies doesn't realize he's like a doesn't believe or doesn't realize that he's actually like a zombie robot. He thinks he's still just a person.
Oh, that's
And he either
oh.
believes it or he's kind of like faking it. No one really knows, but he'll be like, "What are these silly people doing attacking me?" And he'll think he's like fighting in these old battles that are gone. The issue being he's really good and he always wins. So
Oh. Grandpa!
pretty
Grandpa,
much, and
stop!
he has like his bodyguard that also tries to like just make sure he doesn't get in too much trouble or like people don't hurt him.
What are these kids doing on my lawn?
Yeah,
Oh, Grandpa Necron.
yeah.
Alright. Okay, I know a lot of people were excited for this one. Orcs!
Orcs.
Orcs!
Wah.
Okay, I know that there's a story about ripping off a testicle.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, one of the orcs ripped off the testicle of a corn demon, the greater corn demon at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah, that's the yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So the orcs. So
Mhm.
remember the old one in the Satan?
Yeah, I do.
So the old one, while fighting the Satan, were making like would make races to try to like be weapons, and
Okay.
they made I think at that time they're called the Quarks, like
The
Q
corks.
R O
Yeah.
Quarks or whatever it
Quarks,
is.
quarks. No, I like corks. Quarks sounds fun.
Who they were smart, powerful, whatever, but eventually they became the orcs, and the orcs are basically angry fungus. That's what they are.
I did not see the fungus part coming, but yes, okay,
Yeah,
angry
they're
fungus.
technically fungus, sentient fungus.
Oh, cool.
So they are big green guys,
Mhm.
fungus, that all they want to do is fight. They
A
are like hard bred, like genetically coded just to want to fight and fight and fight and fight and win and fight. That's what they love doing.
as fungus tends to like to do. Yeah, it makes
Yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they all have like football hooligan voices, and I'm really bad at doing that. But they all like talk like, "Oh boys, we're gonna go get them. We're gonna crunk them right now." Like they're
They're like
very
they're
interesting.
bros. They're like angry bros.
It's like get them gets, and so they'll be like, um, but they're really good at fighting,
Okay.
and they're really hard to kill because they're fungus. They reproduce with spores, so over their whole life they're releasing spores. And if you kill one, it basically like into a bunch of spores
Oh,
somehow,
and that's not healthy.
and then more orcs grow under the ground, and they pop up like
Oh god.
a decade later, something like
They're
that.
like confettis. They're confetti.
More like mushrooms.
Confetti mushrooms. I know. I imagine them. They're
Yeah,
like, "Oh no, I am dead," and they explode into confetti.
and they don't explode. They just release.
They
Yeah,
explode
poof.
into confetti like a party favor, and then little orcs pop up later as a surprise.
Yep. And so once you have orcs on your planet, you have orcs. Like unless you're gonna like burn down everything or like try really hard, the best you can do is we know where they are, and when they pop up, we're ready to like burn them all again until the next time they pop up.
That's unfortunate.
Yep. And they also are like they had this weird thing. There's two things that are more weird about them. They have like a psychic field that like makes things work for them.
No, what?
And the more orcs there are, the more powerful it is. Yeah, so some people will like go like ridiculous lengths. Like if an orc picked up a stick and thought it was a gun, it would fire bullets. That's not really how it works. But it's more like their technology isn't always like gonna work like it should.
Mhm.
But like if enough of them are like, yeah, that looks about right, like it'll work. It'll like lube it up enough that it works properly. So like this gun that's like made of the spare parts will never jam because of fire.
So you're saying
And they
when
believe like red's the fastest color, and so like their red trucks move faster than their other colored trucks.
So you're saying if like one orc was really hungry and picked up like a rock and was like, "Oh man, this is a great sandwich." And then got his friends to believe that the rock, "Oh yeah, this is a great sandwich." They could eat that rock and take like nutrition from it because they all believe
I
it's a
think that's too
sandwich.
far.
Okay.
It's more like psychic lube. It like let's mix
Lube.
things work that probably
Psychic
shouldn't.
lube. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I could take that in a
because they're
different
not
direction
dumb.
for sure. Okay. They're
They're
not
they're not really
dumb.
like they're not dumb necessarily. Like an orc's gonna know a rock isn't a sandwich, so there's no way you can make that work.
Okay, all
Period.
right.
In the
Okay.
first
So
place.
they're not like the
But orcs also
stereotypical dumb
believe
orc.
that blue is stealthy, and so their like stealth troops are colored blue,
Mhm.
and other people have trouble seeing them because they're blue. Blue is stealthy.
They're not dumb, but blue is stealthy. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Got it. Got it.
And the last thing about them is their technology is genetic. So
Huh?
one orc, not the smartest guy in the world, but you get 100 of them together, all of a sudden, like one of them remembers how to make guns, and then they conquer like a continent, and there's like a million of them, and now these guys over here now remember they this is how we make boats. I can make boats now, and now we have the planet, and they're making spaceships now. So like as they get more and more of a group together, as they get more and more numbers, they get more and more advanced technologies that still get to like unlocked by their genetics from all of them being together.
Just reminds me of cranium rats for some reason. Like the more of them there are, the
Kind
smarter
of,
they get. Oh, cranium rats are terrifying.
yeah.
Oh,
And
cranium
so
orcs. Ah!
that's what makes them dangerous is that they want to get together and make big. They call wogs. That's what their like armies are called.
Mhm.
And if there's one that's strong enough, because they never stop growing, so if you keep fighting, you keep winning. Now you're this like 20-foot tall orc. You can get a lot of these guys together, and all of a sudden you're dangerous. Now you can fly between planets, attack other planets, things like that.
Wait, they don't stop growing? Is there a limit?
I don't think there is like the more they fight, the more they grow. So if they just like sat around doing nothing, they'll grow. But if like one to keep fights and wins and never loses, they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
I wonder what the biggest orc is then.
I don't know. I think it's probably Gazcool. I would guess he's like the most popular, famous one. And
Okay.
he's pretty huge.
Is that the testicle one?
No, that's all different. He's in the warp at Valhalla fighting corn demons forever now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember that now. Okay, yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. You know, I'm pleasantly surprised. I honestly did not think the orcs would be that interesting because, you know, the stereotypical orcs are sort of dumb, blah, blah, blah. That's really fun. I really like that. I'm
Yeah,
pleasantly
they're fun. Yeah, and
surprised.
then they all love Daka. Have you ever heard the Daka term? Like that's what orcs love is because the sound of like guns firing. So they're
Daka,
like
daka,
more
daka, daka,
Daka,
daka,
and
daka,
they just
daka, daka,
attach
daka.
more guns to
Is
things
that
and
what the Daka
things
Daka's
like
from?
that.
Daka, 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 daka,
Yeah,
daka?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I never knew that. I thought that was just from gun sounds. Daka, 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 daka.
Nope.
My gosh, I was an orc
But they'll
fan
attach
before I
more,
even
more,
knew
more
it.
guns, and they're awful shots for the most part. But like you'll in your army, you'll have like this guy can only hit on a 6 on this dice, but he fires 30 times, and so it's like I got enough hits at the end of the day because he has so many machine guns attached to himself.
Oh, cute little fungus orcs. I like
Yep,
them.
little fun guys.
Little fun guys. All right. Next one I think is the last part.
We got two more.
Oh, wait, this one, hang on. I gotta make you see. I'm sorry. Snapping you. Oh, I know this one. I'm snapping you away. Boop. Aha, yeah, it's the Tau.
This is Tau.
Tau. Okay, I'll bring you back.
So these are the
Boop.
weebs,
These are the weeb.
pretty much. So they're a species of like little blue guys, like not little, but they're blue aliens.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I don't know if they're the smallest faction, but I think they are. I think they own like they're like if you look at the galaxy map, like they own a very very small part of it.
Okay.
And they were fighting each other, and all of a sudden these versions of like their species called the ethereal showed up, and it's like, hey, why don't we work together for the greater good? And that's their whole thing. It's the greater good. We work together for the greater good.
Right, all good.
And everyone unite under the ethereals. That's how they kind of made their societies. The ethereals run it, and then there's different castes. If you're fire caste, you're a fighter. If you're earth caste, you're a builder. Things like that.
Okay. If you're water
And
cast, you're a
their whole
healer.
40k thing. Water caste are diplomats, I think.
Oh. Well, whatever.
Yeah, and then their whole 40K twist is it's implied that the ethereals are actually kind of like have a version of mind control. And they're like kind of
Oh,
like doing this for their own thing.
oh, like a hive mind.
Not a hive mind, like they don't think the same, but like I will follow the ethereal's orders. And if the ethereal dies, if I in the past, I'm not sure if it's still true. Like if the ethereal dies, like you'd have to roll to see like how crazy your people get because they kind of like go off the rails when one of them dies.
Oh, okay. All right.
And but the reason they're small but they're surviving is that they don't have the best technology. Like the Imperium's best technology is still better than theirs, but they like distribute it and they develop it. They're actively developing their technology,
Unlike
and they
the
give it.
Imperium was like, no, this isn't from the what is
Yep.
it, the Golden Age? How dare you?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So the Imperium might have like a missile that can like tunnel through time and space and kill you when you were a baby or something like that, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
But then like their soldier, their like infantry guy has like a laser that's like a flashlight kind of thing.
Okay.
Every single like fire warrior has like a um, pulse rifle, every single one of them, and like that's infinitely better than like the basic weapons for the Imperium.
Okay. Understood.
And they have mech suits. That's why I call them weaves because they have like the mech suits that are the most like anime Gundam, not Gundam, but
Yeah,
anime looking kind
this
of mech
picture I
suits they
have
got.
has one in the background. Definitely has a
Yep.
it's a mech suit and okay, so they're not as technologically advanced, but they distribute it amongst
But you would
everybody.
think they were, if you looked at the average human, the average
Okay.
Tau, you would think that they were more advanced than the humans were.
Okay, understood. Got it, got it.
Yeah, and they're just trying to hold on. They're like the underdog. They don't own that many worlds. Their FTL travel is not that fast. Um, they want to have people work together in harmony, and yet they're also having to defend themselves because the Imperium's like, "You gross Xenos,
Ew,
smash it,"
icky poo poo.
pretty much. And that's the Tau.
What is this? A world for ants?
More like a world for me. Let me take it over
Oh yeah,
as I
that's
purge
true.
you from its surface.
Apart. Okay. And now we get to like the last one, I think.
Yeah,
Hey, I know there's two of these. Oh, I don't like this picture. It's just like bugs. The
yeah,
no, I don't like this. I don't like this pic. All right, the Tyranids.
yeah. So Tyranids with their two subfactors. So the Tyranids are bugs from
Mm,
outside the galaxy. So they are not from the Milky Way. They
okay,
came from somewhere else.
that's good. I'm so glad they're not from the Milky Way.
So no one knows where they came from, but they came in to our universe. How they got here is kind of like why are they coming here is kind of a question. I think there's new lore that like the Ultramarines try to like start a new Astronomicon in case the Emperor died. It might have called them. I don't know if that's canon yet, but
Okay.
somebody brought them here. It might have just been bad luck. They were hovering between the galaxies because they ate their last galaxy because they left, and now they're hungry and they're here to eat us.
Ah, they just ate their last. Don't you hate it when you eat your last galaxy? It's just
Yeah,
bummer.
no one
It's kind
knows
of bummer.
because they don't talk. They're a hive mind. So there's a hive mind. There's some kind of central intelligence, but their entire motivation from start to finish is survive, eat. So they will roll into a planet, send down their troops, murder everything, turn it all into like organic goop, suck it all up, leaving the
Mm,
planet a rock, and then move on.
I love my organic
And they
goop.
will adapt. They will give the least amount of effort they can, but that's still like an overwhelming source of bugs. But if you have a lot of armor in your planet, they will evolve armor piercing bugs. Like they'll bring out the
Oh,
types of bugs that will shoot armor piercing rounds at that point, kind
that
of thing.
that sounds awful and like a nightmare.
Oh yeah,
Can you imagine if you have like an infestation and you use like whatever the chemicals and stuff, and then all of a sudden they come back chemical resistant?
pretty much that's how it works.
Oh
And
no.
you can't call for help because their hive mind has a thing called the shadow and the warp, where it basically like blocks all like warp communication, warp travel.
Oh,
So once they're there, you can't call for help. Nothing can come help you because nothing can fly into the system. Then it's the warp. You
well,
are just boned.
that sounds awful.
And they're coming up from below too. Like there are people are like, why are these planets getting attacked? It's not in the path of the Tyranids, and they realize that no, they're going below the galaxy and coming up from the bottom sometimes to attack us there too. So like,
Wait, they
there's no way to stop them.
go below and come up from the get. Wait,
Well, because space is 3D. So like they came in from the outside, and people are like, oh no, they're going to attack these planets, and then suddenly they would get attacked halfway across the galaxy because they went down out of the galaxy, then came back up from below, kind of.
that's another video. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those okay. So, all right, and then Last but not least, I saved this for last on purpose because I happen
Yes.
to know that this is Elfric's favorite, but the pant
Yes.
stealers, aka the
Yeah,
jean
gene stealer
stealer
cults.
cults. And I have the picture is a multi-limbed humanoid looking guy with a very long tongue and looks
Beautiful.
wonderful. Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous, absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So let's say you had chicken nuggets, and I was hungry, and I wanted those chicken nuggets,
No, they're
and I
mine.
could take them, and I'm going to take them from you.
No.
Is there any easier way for me to get those chicken nuggets from you than me taking them for you?
Make your own chicken nugget.
No, what if you gave them to me?
But no, why would I give them to you?
Yeah. So the tyranny is about efficiency, right? The less they have to work, the more nutrition they'll get from eating you because that's how it works. They want to eat more than they expend, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So they will send out things called gene stealers, which are a very specialized type of tyrannid, and they'll just shoot them out, lay them in wait somewhere, and then they will land on a planet and start infecting people.
Oh god. Like,
And the gene stealer kiss, it's called, it will kind of merge your genetics with yours, and then your kids will be Tyranids in a way. Like they will look very Tyranid like.
they're gonna
And
kiss
their kids
you?
will be Tyranid like, but a little bit less. And then their kids will be even more human like until about 4 to 5 generations. Now we got these kind of like part Tyranids that look close enough to human to pass as human.
They kiss you?
They inject it, they kiss you, they shove it down the
Mm.
throat, stick it in your ribs. It's like it depends kind of
Stick it. I did not think
how
you were
kinky
gonna
you want to get.
I didn't think you were gonna finish it when they stick it in your ribs. I was thinking Dark
Well,
Souls
I think
style.
originally it was like a little bit more of a lewd thing, and then they're like, we can't do that. So now it's like they like have like a injection tail. They like stick it in your side. That's how they
Ah, yes,
kind of infuse you with their genetics.
the injection tail. Yeah, I'm sure it goes
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
side. Yeah, okay.
Don't pop a Twitch or Mr. YouTube's gonna come by and get concerned. But anyway, and so then they affect and they make cults and they kind of take advantage of the fact because they tend to affect Imperium because all the other races tend to have ways to either they can tell that you're infected or there's just not enough of them for them to really get a foothold.
Oh, yeah, because there's lots and lots of humans, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
they're all most of them are being oppressed by the tyrannical, you know, fascist hellhole that is the Imperium.
Blasphemy, heretic!
True. It's true. And so they have a really easy time being like, hey, there are these angels out in
Oh,
space that are going to come
angels?
uplift us and let us be part of them that will not make us suffer anymore. We don't have to worry about working in the slag pits with no protective equipment and get tumors and stuff.
Oh, I want the space angels to come save me.
That's pretty nice, right? If your life's pretty awful to start with.
Yeah.
So they'll make cults that are partly based around like we have Tyranid genetics, and also some of them don't, and some of them are just part of it because they promised me a better life than this shitty life I have here on this planet, right?
Mhm.
And then as the Tyranids get closer, they start broadcasting the signal to tell like the leaders of the cult. The first gene stealer becomes a patriarch, and he becomes this really big, strong person that kind of has a hive mind with all the cult, and he'll know that Tyranids are coming, and then they'll rise up. Today is the day of ascension. Today we throw our shackles off.
Oh, rebellion!
And so then either by the time the Tyranids get there, either they've won, and the planet's all like pacified and like, come on down, Tyranids, eat us, and then they find out that their angels are actually giant bugs.
Ah, that's
Or
unfortunate. That's a bad day.
even if they lose, they have damaged the planet. Like they blew up all the spaceports and they destroyed all the military, and so they did good enough so that when Tyranids come down, they're like, we barely have to work at all. Everything's broken, and then they come down to eat everybody.
For their goo, for their goop slurries.
Yeah, for their goose slushies,
Nom
their
nom nom
smoothies.
nom. Smoothie time.
Yeah, I think they're cool. Like they're like the Imperial Guard is like the everyman that they say, but no, these guys are like the everyman. These are the blue collar workers. They'll fight with like, hey, this laser drills through the soil for mining. What if I put on a person? And it wouldn't work usually, but I have 3 arms and twice the muscles a person because I'm part Tyranid. I can carry this thing around and use it as a weapon. Or like these saws that we use to like drill through rocks, I'll use this to drill through a space marine.
Don't the people start I guess how long does it take for them to like influence the planet, would you say?
Long time. We're talking generations.
Okay. I was gonna say,
Like
if
the
somebody
fifth
suddenly
generation
has
are
3
humans again.
arms, I'd be like, "Okay, there's something wrong right there." Or no, not 3,
Right.
like 4 arms, But I guess
That's
if
only the
it's
first couple generations, so they will
yeah.
hide. They'll like go into the this is a mining planet. They'll go into the mines and like be deep in the mines, and it's the fourth and fifth generations that look like humans that'll come out and like start the cult and like infiltrate the military and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Gradual.
And they have a lot of cool characters, like because as the Tyranids get closer, they start evolving more types. So now there's a gene stealer cult guy that knows a lot about explosives because he has access to like the hive mind of explosives and all the stuff they know about him. And this one is a gunslinger. This one is super good at tactics because once again, hive mind, they can kind of like borrow knowledge from all the other people in the hive mind.
Oh. And then they steal your
They're cool.
pants. I had to make a joke. And then they steal
And
your
they steal your
pants.
pants and you have no pants. And
You have
what are
no
you going to do
pants.
then when the boats come and you
Yeah.
have no
So
pants?
embarrassing when you lose your pants. You have everything and then your pants are gone. All right.
They're my favorite. 'Cause I like the underdog. I like the blue collar workers rising up to take down the crappy Imperium
Yeah.
and then get eaten by bugs.
I was
Oops.
say you also like gross things. So bugs used to
It's not
follow.
gross. It's becoming one with the Star Children, one with the
Oh
angels.
yeah, the bug angels. Wonderful. Oh, well we did it.
We did it. That's
We
everybody.
briefly glanced over 40K.
All the playable factions minus the chapters. But that's a whole other
Whole nother that's a video I should
mine shaft
watch.
to jump into.
Someone had a good
There's just so many. There's dozens of like chapters. That's like which flavor of Space Marine do you want to play today, kind of thing.
yeah. Somebody if you guys like Aelfric, I can invite him back to do more stuff. It doesn't have to just be me. Somebody did have a fun idea of picking a video and having you watch it with me, and you could add your own commentary to that.
I would watch, sure.
Yeah, yeah. 40K
I can make fun
nerd.
of it too.
Maybe I
You
will be
invited me
one
to it.
next. Well, my subathon, one of my rewards for my subathon will be to buy a little 40K figure. A little one. I saw the prices on those. A little one. The
Little one is
little
still gonna be
one.
pretty pricey.
Okay, but a small one, and then let chat tell me like what colors to paint it to, and I will paint the figure. I've never painted a figure in my life, but I would try it, and then report
So
back.
you're saying well, you'll get an Imperial Knight and build that one, paint
How
it.
how much is that? Like $300?
Well, it's like 120 or something like that.
120. There you go. See, I'm already lowering up. My expectations are already
Yeah,
skewed. But thank you so much, Ilvic. This was really fun. I
of course.
enjoyed. I learned a lot. This is my little gateway into more 40K things, and
Say your prayers to the four-armed Emperor tonight.
I don't. But I like the salamanders. I don't know if I. Uh, uh,
It's the Emperor. It's the same Emperor, right? It's just
mm,
all it's his forearms.
but that mm. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see where we go with the 40K stuff next. All right. Bye
Goodbye.
bye. I got a fish on me, there's a fish on you. A fish in the stream and a fish go boo. Fishy slap my face, fishy lick my knee. Fishy on the brain and fishy hat for me.